time to get sexy. So watch Secular Sexuality Live Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTSS and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callsex.
Thank you, good people, for your thoughts and non-prayers, and welcome back to another episode of The Nonprofits. This show is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the separation of religion and government and promoting positive atheism. So we have a great panel and a great number of topics to be talking about today. Who do we have? Starting directly beside me, Cynthia McDonald. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Malty. How you
You're
doing?
welcome. I'm doing okay. Okay. And speaking of welcome back, Neil, the 604 Atheist, after long hiatus. Good to have you back with us.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for wanting me to come back after the long hiatus.
Of course. Oh yeah. I mean, you know you're welcome here. I hope you do.
I do.
You better know.
I ran into some issues, some family stuff, and then some personal health issues. So I'm much better now, and I'm glad to be back.
Cool. And the ineffable Johnny P. Angel.
Thank you. Is that a good thing? Thanks, Malty. All day, every day.
Let me look up what that means real quick.
Right. I'm gonna get my, the dictionary app from my phone real quick.
Yeah. Type it in InfoSeek. What does it say?
Yeah, it's just you. Well, maybe you are effable. I don't know. As with all of our shows, the links with today's topics and the news we discuss are here available in the descriptions below. Feel free to pause the video, go out, check on us. Make sure that we're not haven't gotten something wrong, or don't take our word for it, please. The discussion is interesting, but the news articles are worth reading, I think, mostly themselves.
Citations below.
Citations needed, yes, and provided. So we have 4 different topics we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about a specific prophetess and the things that she likes to think that we can't understand. We're going to have a little discussion of what evangelicals think about what's going on in Afghanistan. Going to revisit a class action lawsuit between America's United for the separation of church and state, as well, and against the Board of Education, and we're going to have a little discussion on a step in the right direction. Polyamorous families in our friends to the north and in Canada are getting more legal protections, and that's a great thing. So first, we are going to be talking about shit. Oh, Cynthia, why don't you take us in on that? Could you?
Certainly, but I would like to say this is about shit. Internet apologists say.
Shit. Internet apologists say.
That's like my favorite interstitial. I just want to let you guys know that. Anywho. So this particular article comes from our friend of the show, Hemet Mehta, from the Friendly Atheist. And we're talking about prophetess or self-proclaimed rather, prophetess Kat Kerr. And she's saying things. And things that she is saying is some saying stuff.
Also a friend of the show. Show, Kat Kerr. Thank you so much.
Kat Kerr's a friend of the show.
Absolutely.
She is now, because we
Kat.
said,
yeah.
Well, Kat is making claims, and so we claimed her as a friend. How about that?
Good one. Yeah.
Well, so Kat Kerr, the self-proclaimed Prophetess and author of Revealing Heaven, an eyewitness account who was recently on Steve Schultz's YouTube channel that posed questions to her concerning her prophecies, as in why don't they match those of other prophets who have also claimed to know what heaven's like. And basically, this particular book that she wrote was about her journey in heaven, seeing what heaven's like, and having like really interesting ideas of all the fantasticalness that's going on in heaven, people. So you atheists, you better get your mind right so you can see it too. So
Yeah, no thanks.
so one of the things that the article actually talks about is that instead of actually admitting that basically she's full of shit, because she's a shit that the shit, the things that apologists say, she as far as like being able to talk about like the prophecies about heaven and all this other stuff, she went on to say this specifically. It's usually mostly they don't people understand the spirit realm. Most people don't have it in their heads what that is. So they don't understand the difference between truth in the spirit realm and truths in the natural.
Mm.
And she goes on with some other, what I call charismatic cookie cutter crappy conversations, like the spirit realm is the original realm where the Father operates, and he
Yeah.
and also, oh, this is my favorite. He knows things even his son doesn't, which
Ooh.
is weird. That's extremely weird. And guess what, people? His son doesn't mind at all that the Father knows things that he doesn't, even though
Wait.
They're
yeah,
cool.
Aren't
yeah.
they the same person?
Well, I mean, according
Well,
to the Bible,
according to Kit, she's right there. She's like, oh yeah, he's good with it.
yeah.
Yeah, she knows it. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like so weird. I mean, especially since like in the gospel, specifically in John, I looked this up. John 7:29 says that I know him. This is Jesus talking. The one who
Mm.
don't mind at all that he don't know the stuff
He's a
that God knows.
non-minder. Yeah.
He's a non-right.
Yeah.
He said, I know him because I am from him and he sent me. John 8:55 actually says, and you have not come to know him, but I know him. And if I say that I do not know him, I will be a liar like you. But I do know him and keep his word. And even Matthew 11:12 says, all things have been handed over to me by my Father. So this is not a not knowing person, unlike what Kat says.
Yeah. He's a knower. He knows him. He
He,
said
he
he
I'm a
knows
knows.
knower.
him.
He knows,
You know
right?
he knows him,
Right.
but he doesn't care.
And I have a bit of an issue here because
Hmm.
keep my father's word and all that stuff. But his father's word says women aren't allowed to talk in church. So what the hell is she doing preaching?
Right. Right.
Ooh.
Yeah. The Apostle Paul, or I like to call him the great marketer of Christianity, is the one who told women to keep silent. And it was like, okay,
It's improper for a woman to speak in church.
that's
So
right.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you would call the her website or her the Heaven's Culture LLC is actually a church, but I did go to her website,
Oh,
and
did you?
it's worth a look,
Yeah, it is.
if only for the $50. Oh, hey Neil, do you need a 2021 calendar?
not
So
for $50, I don't.
for $50, that has like
Look,
3 months
I'll
left to it.
hand draw this shit for free.
With
all
you
little
can
stick
also
people
get
action things and stuff.
some audiobooks like God's MO, Bushwhacking Darkness. Mark,
It's like
Bushwhacking darkness.
yeah,
the
that's the subtitle.
Christian version of GMO, God's MO.
Yeah, Kingdom Age, The Ancient Path.
You missed me, didn't you?
Kid is very full of themselves. That's what
Hmm.
I have found from the little bit of research that I did on. I want to be derogatory. Wow, She really got to me.
I went to
wanted to make comment about her
Yeah.
looks.
I went.
Oh.
No. I went online, and I went to. Was it One Quest International, a Florida corporation? It's the website for Kat Kerr, and it talks about. Well, there's just a lot. There's just a lot available on that website, and it's pretty awful. I wanted to know more about where she came from, and so I found here she walks on a foundation of holiness that started in the 1800s with her great grandparents. She pours out her life for others while walking with eyes blinded by God's love. Hopelessly young at heart, she brings a message of hope and power while sharing, at the Lord's request, what she has shown when caught up by the Spirit of God and taken on tours of heaven. And what really struck me was she's got this terrible, like it's like children's version of what heaven would be like. It's not like
It's like an amusement park.
It's
Yeah.
not like Doctor Strange stuff, like, like you see through things and like you exist in different times and spaces. No. You get Jello and spice places. It's just crazy stuff. I saved some of it. Where was it?
It's a fucking volcano ride, for crying out loud.
Yeah, you no wrinkles. Okay, no. You're so in love with God, you will be completely enraptured. There's golden streets, obviously.
Obviously.
Mansions that look like cities. That was interesting. Who's going to clean them?
And also, she said that mansions are constantly being added for more people that is coming. So heaven is currently under a lot of construction.
Yeah. Procedurally generated. It's procedurally
Exactly.
generated.
He just snapped his fingers and we got new condos and apartments. And
you got a hall of knowledge. You got a Jello land where you can bounce and eat. You've got the Valley of Spices, white diamond with your nickname on it, like because God's got a
league.
There's a football league. There's a warehouse where God keeps spare parts and organs.
So I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Shit. Why can't he just have Jesus spit in some dirt and rub it into the guy for a new kidney? Or does it only work with eyes?
The gospel set precedent only for eyes. We didn't get precedent for kidneys.
Did anyone ever have their grandma like spit on a rag and then like clean something off your
face?
Yeah,
and that was disgusting.
Yes, it smells like freaking spit. I'm sorry, Grandma, I miss you, but that was not cool. And Jesus is spitting in people's eyes.
And put it in dirt. No, he spit in the dirt, rubbed it around, and just slapped it on your eyes to make mud.
Mm-hmm.
That's what what would Jesus do? Spit in your muddy eye.
Sleep is?
Yeah,
that's Jesus dirt spit.
Oh my God. So I
get out of my room, Jesus.
I wanted to ask y'all, did you get a chance to actually look at, when you went to her website, did you go to the frequently asked questions?
I did not.
A little bit.
You did.
I did. May I read a few?
Please
okay.
do.
Okay, cool. You guys sitting down?
Please cover T-Rex.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Okay, so she actually had like people like write into her and ask questions, and she answers them. So here's a couple examples. So this one is from Trey, who's age 6, from Richmond, Virginia, and I can say that because it's right on her website. And his question was, is there an art easel and a T-Rex in heaven? And her answer was yes to both questions. Since I saw art galleries there, I am certain they would have easels to paint on. Also, there are representations of all animal life that God originally created. So dinosaurs, including the T-Rex, can be seen in the park area of heaven. Did y'all know there's a park? Okay.
Yeah.
They
Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah. Wait. They're so tame. that you can actually
How
ride
tame
on
are
them.
they? Sorry, you can ride around on them.
You can ride your own T-Rex in heaven, people. Oh, it gets better. It's getting better. Okay, Emily, age 14, from Jacksonville, Florida, asked her, "Are there oceans with sharks and jellyfish?" And she said, "Yes. There is a crystal sea which comes from the river of life that flows out of God's throne. Also, the Bible
Oh.
states."
Not what I thought you were going to say.
Excuse me, what?
God doesn't have a bathroom break. He works at Amazon. He's he just stays on the throne all day.
I would be afraid of that crystal lake. It was actually in it. But
I'm sorry, it's
Oh.
coming out of what?
Yes,
God's
the
throne.
throne. The
The throne
throne.
of God. The throne that
Yeah.
he sits on.
That's what I call
Also,
the bathroom.
yeah,
but anyway.
God's throne. That's what my daddy called it, or that of the John. Also,
Grabbing a magazine.
right,
Going to the throne.
right. Be there for the next 3 hours. Like Dad used to take your Emma that day. Anyway, also the Bible states that there are fish of all kinds in the water, and the crystal sea is big enough to hold huge sailing ships.
Oh,
Oh, and
Okay.
here's the one about the theme park. Okay, so Kevin, age 16, from Florida, asked, "Is there a theme park?" And she said, "I am delighted you ask. Yes, there is a fantastic amusement park, which I mentioned in the book. In that place, there is a huge roller coaster called the Rush. There are some normal rides, but there are also supernatural rides that will blow you away. One of the amusements is to learn to fly like Superman." Can we say that on it? Like Superman.
Like Superman.
yeah, he's yeah. Don't worry about that.
But so none of this answers. Okay, first of all, look, you've got an eternity. You've got an eternity. Not just like, I've got a month to spend in Phoenix. What am I going to do? I'll go to the amusement park. And I can get on the Rush. And I can go to the Jurassic Park. No, I've got an eternity.
It is
How
rather
many
boring
times are you going to
now.
go to Rush after the first
Yeah.
1 quadrillion years?
Do you
Yeah.
get bored? Like, would you get bored like on the Rush or?
And that's what I'm saying. All of
Yeah.
her things are things that would be cool for, like I said, I got a month. I'm in town. I'm in Phoenix. I'm here for a convention, but I've also got some work to take care of. What can I do? TripAdvisor, and then I can go to these things. Yeah,
Heavenly TripAdvisor. Hey, I'm bored. Can I go to hell now?
yeah, just to shake it up.
Yeah. So when I was listening to Kit come off the silliness, are you done with the silliness, or are we still getting more? You have
Oh,
more to go.
If you're gonna talk about Kit Kat, that's her new name, people.
Kit
If
Kat.
you're gonna talk
Okay.
about Kit Kat,
If I don't get somebody's name wrong at least once, it's just not me.
it's okay. But
Well,
you know,
she's
I
our
mean,
friend of the show. We can
she
call her
is a
Kit. We can call her Cat.
We love her,
yeah,
Kit Kat.
we love
Kitty
our Kit
Catty.
Kat.
Yeah.
Kit Catty. Yeah.
Meow.
yeah.
Henrietta.
Anyway, but no,
Yeah.
I mean, but like Malty, like, if you want to go talk about something serious, like
No.
oh,
Well,
good,
I had a
because like,
question.
okay, good.
Well, I mean, so what? Truthfully, I have an idea, but what do you all think is harm? What is the harm that she's doing, if any? As with her spouting
It's easy.
her ideas that have no merit, or and also, what do you think of the passive aggressiveness that I find from not just her, but other people I've heard? When I would ask someone about something in their religion that is logically inconsistent with things they say, they say, "Yeah, that's hard, isn't it? It's a difficult concept to
Yeah,
understand,
that's
isn't
a
it?"
mystery. That's a mystery,
Right.
Malty.
And
It's
it's
one of
so
God's
I find
mysteries.
it passive aggressive. It's just like,
Well, what's the
okay, you're
harm?
saying yeah. Well, what's the harm?
That's
Okay,
easy.
how about this? I did a little bit of research on old Kitty Catty and on LGBT issues. There are no gays, lesbians, bisexuals in heaven, only straight men and women. And she says, I know you did not choose to become gay, lesbian, or bisexual. I know many of you are trying very hard to become straight, and many of you are trying very hard to deny to yourself that you are gay or lesbian or bisexual. but you still failed to become straight. Basically, she's saying that you're a flunky, and in heaven you'll be fixed. So be ashamed for now. Do your best, but don't worry. You're going to be straight in heaven. So what you are right now is just not right. But don't be mean to them, to these broken people.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So this is what, with that particular statement, this is where I am kind of like,
Uh-oh.
my head is kind of like, going in all types of different directions. So if she is saying that even though you were born this way and you're trying not to be,
Mhm.
but but if you don't become straight, it's your failure. But you were born that way. Why is it your failure?
Don't know.
Because Eve ate the apple.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe God can help you to slowly become straight if you are serious in your relationship with God. And we should just let the LGBT go to church peacefully and let God take care of their gender identity. Don't stress them with your judgments, rejections, and push them away. This is an improvement over some people, I'll be honest.
yeah.
And push them away because you think it's a sin. Don't make their lives more complicated. Just let them be aware that there are no LGBT in heaven. And after that, let them go to church peacefully. Let them join the group, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to be harsh. That's very screwed up, but it's better than what some people would do. But it doesn't make sense. I don't know what that is. It's like she's got...
what? It's
Yeah, Neil?
candy-coated rejection of it is what it is. It's
Yeah,
still a rejection of it.
Yeah.
it is.
And I mean, like, and if you tell them, don't, if
And I'm
you're
mad
telling
now.
people that if you're LGBTQ and you were, and I acknowledge that you were born that way, but you got to try your best. So, but it's still your fault that you were born that way, whatever. And but you're telling them that, okay, we're not going to talk to you rough or judge you. Just know that your kind is not welcome where my God is.
Right.
Mm.
And just like you just mentioned, like, that is, it's still a rejection. That, and so, like, how would they not have anxiety over that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
you got yourself a husband there, so and so? Well, don't worry. If you're good and you go to heaven, then you won't be married anymore. You'll be married to a lady. How do you feel about that? Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah, that's great. That's
Uh,
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, to me, it's just like benign neglect. The way that, she's trying to, like, it's like sugar coated trauma.
That's what
That's
Neil
the,
is saying.
yeah.
Yep.
That's all I feel. And I agree, Neil. I
I'm going to
agree.
put you down with a big smile and a little bit of a joke
Yeah.
in my voice.
Yeah.
Climate change isn't real. It's a tool of the left to maintain control. It's their agenda. It's just a seasonal thing that we're experiencing. There's a reason for melting and freezing. The seasons will keep going until time ends, and God is the one who's going to end that. So, cool. Seasons.
Or warm.
Yeah.
Our orange friend, also a friend of the show, he is returning very soon. And she's predict the next 5 presidents. Did you find this in your research?
Oh
No,
no!
I didn't
Please
see that.
tell. Do
Oh,
tell.
this is a good one. Okay.
Am I one of them?
No. Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Damn it.
So
I
first
can't
of all,
be
God is
Canadian
in the
born.
White House. God is in the White House, but not like
He's the
literally.
president now?
Just he's just like a fog or something, like a fog
I'm
machine.
confused.
Like an
Is Biden
evaporation
God?
of
What's
God,
So
of
we're
gods
gonna
of
have
vapor.
you know, DT, right? He's gonna come back any second now.
Mm,
Hold on, I heard someone knocking on the door. That might be him coming back. Then we're gonna have 2 terms of Mike Pence,
mm,
right.
and then we're gonna have 2 terms of whoever Mike Pence chooses,
mm,
and after that, unknown.
mm, mm,
Yeah.
And
mm.
she won't get vaccinated, but she would have if Trump won the election, which is interesting because he did, didn't
bullshit.
he? Didn't he, Kat? Didn't he win? Kat?
That's what she said.
That's what she's.
Oh, gotcha.
How did he win and then not win? Kat?
Kit
Friend of the
Kat.
show, watching right now?
Yeah.
Too much catnip, cat.
Kit Kat.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, that answers my question. Thank you very much. Yeah, she lies and
Yeah.
she misinforms
And she gives false hope,
gives false gives false
which can
hope.
be devastating to some people, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can ski down lava though.
yeah, that's why you can ride the lava ride.
Yeah,
And
on your
That's
T
cool.
Rex.
On your
yeah, you
T-Rex,
pet
yeah.
them.
T-Rex.
You can ride on them, and then you can pet them because they're so tame.
Yep.
Fuck out of here.
Right
We're
after they bite your arm out.
it's more 2 minutes, right? So I can say that.
It's been a little more.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
Fuck
I've
out of
already
here.
been swearing. It's okay.
It's okay, cool.
Spice.
Okay.
The Spice Valley sounds interesting because then you could go there and there's all the different spices, and saffron's expensive. But I could just go and just freaking dump saffron on everything that I eat in heaven.
Why? Why would you do that?
I don't know. The spice melange perhaps would also be something that I could use.
Okay. Let
Sorry,
it flow.
yeah.
Yeah. Johnny's in the flow.
I'm in yeah.
Okay. Well,
The sleeper must awaken.
Well,
Go
Kit
ahead.
Kat,
Go ahead, Malty.
Cynthia, do you
This
have
is fun.
everybody have any final words on our prophetess, Kat Kerr?
I just want Kat to
She
stay
single?
away from the hair dye at the local pharmacy store. It's not working for you, honey. I'm so sorry.
It's really bright.
I started getting, a little vertigo looking at the video. Just wanted to put that out there.
It's okay. I got shades.
Cool.
There you go. I like them. Johnny, any final thoughts on Kat?
No, I'm disappointed because it's childlike, unimaginative heaven. It's the heaven that sounds like a hell. Like at first blush, it's like, ooh, Spice Mountain and T-Rexes and lava. And then you realize that if heaven would be a tolerable place, it would have to be inconceivably interesting. And that's not it. Lava joyrides and roller coasters called the Rush. That's for Phoenix. That's for a dental convention. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dental convention.
And I like to say sometimes you can do better. I don't think Kat can. She's maxed
Can't.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kat can't.
Yeah, Kat can't.
Yeah.
What do you think, Neil?
I think she paints it like it's a really nice place to be for a vacation, but not to want to be there for forever. And I just think she's a wacky lady, man. She's out there speaking in tongues, kind of, but I bet you if you asked her to repeat everything, she wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. Well, I see someone's trying to sell their wares.
Yeah,
This is a motivational speaker that has taken on a complete language of her own. That is so full of deepity, and you need waiters to get through it. It just I listened to the link on Hemet Meta's podcast for that video, and yeah, it was a full 3 minutes of Kat speaking nonsense.
Yeah.
There was not a single thing that made any sense to me. So thank you, Kat, for being a friend of the show.
Yeah, being a friend of the show.
Yeah, being a friend of the show. You know what? Because we need more friends. We do need more friends. We have some friends. In fact, we are now at 9,000 subscribers because of your dedicated viewership and spreading the good word of not the good word. We've gotten almost there. So another 1,000 people, another 1,000 subscribers, and we will be able to do fundraising. So we will be able to put back into the ACA, and because we're really, really happy that. So please, if you haven't already subscribed now.
It's right below.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now. Yes.
Do it.
Or now.
Share it. Share this channel with your friends, your family, co-workers, that guy you don't like down the street. Anyone and everyone, please let's get the word out so we can start with those fundraisers. Once you have hit that subscribe button and click the like button, so get that notification bell to be on. So every time that a new premiere of the nonprofits happens, you will be notified. And those, of course, premiere every Sunday at 3 p.m. Central. And the end of this little mid-roll, are you aware that the atheist community of Austin, has a YouTube channel where you can go in podcast form, find all of the ACA shows. So you can subscribe to that at tiny.cc/AEN podcasts. And you can listen to episodes of the Nonprofits, Atheist Experience, SecX, and all other of our ACA shows so you don't miss a single episode. So please check out the Atheist Experience Network. All right, so.
But don't check it out right now.
Nope.
No.
Finish this episode.
Yeah, we're not
Because
done yet.
we will be moving on to our second segment, Evangelicals and the Taliban. So yeah, got some links from an editorial piece from the Kentucky Today. The International Mission Board president would like us all to pray that God will move in the midst of this chaos and fear. That, as I said,
You'll
that
be
was
dodging
from
bullets. Is that what you're saying?
Kentucky Post. And then I spent a lot of time reading the link from Christianity Today. The title of that article was "Afghan Worthwhile or Wasted? Christians Lament, Pray, and Learn as the Taliban Retakes Control," which was 15 different people, which they asked a series of questions. These are religious scholars, some theologians, some priests that have some connection to the area. And it was interesting for me as a cradle atheist to read what these people have to say to try to get an insight into their way of thinking, which was interesting, I guess, kind of disheartening. But yeah, what did you all think of the this Evangelicals and the Taliban?
I mean, when I was looking at like the Kentucky Today article, was it Kentucky Today, right?
It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Um, Wrong answer for a very sad situation in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's horrifying.
it is. I mean, like, one of the things that I was thinking about is like, if you say, okay, like, let's pray that God will move in Afghanistan to save the situation that's going on right now. And
Same way
and
he
we
ended atheism the other day.
right. Well, Neil, I don't know if you knew that the atheists actually got together and countered the Christians' prayer, and that's the
Yeah.
reason why we're still here.
We can do that?
According to some Christians, we can.
I think that prayer thing was a joke. I really do. If you go to the website and you dig into it, the whole thing was a troll. But I mean, Lloyd and I tried, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. But I think the Facebook and all that stuff, I think that was just like a goof to make fun of
Probably.
of it. Yeah.
I mean, but to your point about how prayer didn't work then, and prayer has not worked for a whole bunch of other things, what makes you think it's going
Like
to work now?
everything?
Like everything. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure that there's greater minds than I that can remark on different studies that were done in the
I
past
know of a couple.
concerning, yeah, is prayer reliable as far as like, working to do X, Y, and Z, or, can we actually like garner empirical data concerning like the works of prayer? And I'll give you the short answer to that. No, you cannot.
Cynthia,
Actually,
it doesn't work in the world, but if you pray to the Lord,
Mm.
it will give you your answer
your car keys back.
in the next world.
Yeah, you've been looking a little bit more at Kat
Yeah.
Kerr, kitty cat again, haven't you?
I don't want to wait
So-
in line for the rush, Lord.
Oh, sorry.
I want
So-
to get to the head of the line, Lord. So I'm praying now while I'm still alive. And so when I get to heaven, when I die, I'll
You'll
be
get
in the
the
front of
answer.
the line at the Rush roller coaster.
So if I'm dying and having a heart attack, and I pray real hard for not to have a heart attack, I'm going to have it anyways and get my answer on the other side. Is that what you're telling me?
You're going to get something else that's more
your
important.
answer. Right.
That's your answer. The answer is
That's your
no.
answer. The answer is no.
The answer is
and-
no.
The answer is, hang on, get up here. Okay, listen here.
You want
Right.
Rococo style? Do you want like brutalism? You're going to get a mansion. Whatever you're asking for, you're going to get spices.
Can I have my own
Yeah,
or
hockey team?
because heaven is
Spices.
still under construction. But but going back to the whole segment.
Yeah, Josh
you-
Manley, what a
yeah,
guy, huh?
Oh my gosh! Like, okay, yeah, and I know that. Okay, like I had like an actual a quote from Mr. Manley, when he said that this is not escapism.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I flagged that too.
Yeah,
I flagged
yeah,
that. I think we
yeah.
all did. Yeah.
This is not escapism. How? I just one question, Mr. Manley. How, Sway? How? How? I just okay. This is biblical faith when all earthly prospects are completely bleak. Don't you know that such faith brings great glory and joy
No.
to our Father in heaven?
No.
Don't you know?
My other question: how is God, the Father, through His Son, power demonstrated by the Holy Spirit? If you believe in that thing,
He's not
it's
sharing
getting-
that information. Go on.
No,
He's
I'm-
keeping
I'm-
it to himself. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But how is he? But where is the glory? What glory is being revealed here?
Yeah.
Because like the only thing that I see on the news is like us abruptly leaving Afghanistan after 20 years,
Mhm.
and people who were being promised visas can't get out,
Mhm.
and there were people on the tarmac clinging,
Falling off the plane. Yeah.
right, falling
Mhm.
off the plane, clinging to the wheels so that they can get out because they're afraid of what's going to happen now that the Taliban is taking
Right.
over. That's
Yeah.
what I saw. I don't see where the glory is for anyone.
Now,
No.
if glory is coping with the fact that there will be people who will essentially be sold into lifelong servitude and marital rape, or getting beheaded, or just put against the wall, if the greater
off
glory
roads.
of God means feeling powerless and not knowing what to do, I mean, I can't go with an AK-47 or whatever and go free some people, but I can pray about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when this is not escapism. When they wrote this article, I'm assuming that he said that after he said the thing, that we can trust that our Lord is mighty and will care for His children. It's especially you need to pray for the Afghans who have no choice but to stay. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what he's saying, isn't it? That we can't do anything, so we might as well do some self-soothing. That's
Yeah.
the nice way I can put it.
Mhm.
Talking to ourselves.
I'm reading a book right now that's really interesting, and we're going to probably end up talking about it in one form or another.
Cool.
But it talks about it at some point in our journeys together in the nonprofits. But it talks about, oh gosh, if I could, I should look before I leap. But I've got it here on my little YouTube. It's called A Conflict of Visions. A Conflict of Visions by Thomas Sowell, and talks about constrained and unconstrained views of the world. That constrained in some regard means that folks are fixed in their ways, and unconstrained means that humanity can be improved in some way. And for folks like this who are saying, pray for them, pray for them, pray for them. I think they have a view of a constrained kind of humanity, that evil is a necessary thing that's going to happen in the world. And that It is only through a divine intervention that we can make things better. That humanity is essentially fixed as being doomed, and that this is just the way it's going to be. Never mind the fact that we made decisions to make this happen.
Right.
I mean, Afghanistan was terrible before we got there, and we made it worse. And people who had a glimmer of hope and the beginning of a future that doesn't involve sexual slavery or, being ground into the dirt by violent psychopaths who are psychopathically uh, adherent to a form of Islam that is just awful. Thought maybe they had a moment where they could be free and they could continue their lives. And it didn't happen. Well, I guess that's just a fallen world we live in. No, we did this. We all did this.
Right. This is totally, but this is what we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do. I mean, like, when the United States went into Afghanistan in the first place, this was all about to answer what happened, September 11th, 2001, when the towers came down, when Pentagon got, rammed, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And what they knew was Osama bin Laden. And so when they said, okay, we're about to go into Afghanistan and get Osama bin Laden, and he was in Pakistan, it's just Taliban was just like, no, you can't come. And then we went in with all of our might and said, okay, we're just going to take over. But the
Mhm.
thing about it is that, and you, if you all remember, because I believe that we're all old enough to remember the whole mission accomplished
Mhm.
and all this other
Mm-hmm.
stuff that happened, and even at that particular time, Osama bin Laden was never captured. I mean, that didn't even happen until, like, 8 years later.
Yeah, thanks, Obama.
Sure, thanks, Obama.
Well, SEAL Team
But
6.
I, but the thing about it is that um, there was never a proper plan on how to deal with Afghanistan. And even when in my cursory research about, the history of that country has never really been allowed to be autonomous on, in order for it to kind of, like, develop in its own type of governmental system. It was always somebody coming in, like, because you had the Mongols from back in the day. You had Alexander the Great that was over in there. Most recently, before we actually came in, was the Soviet Union. It was the Taliban only, like, ruled Afghanistan for about 5 years, if I believe, before United States actually came in. So
Something like that.
this has never been a region. It seems like, from, like I said, what I've seen, it's like this has never been a region that have ever been,
It's never
for
been
a lack of a
stable
better term,
either.
yes, it's
Yeah.
never been stable.
It's always been war. It's been war torn for quite some time.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, that's true.
centuries.
Yeah.
It has been like this for centuries.
Yeah.
So to even think that that the United States were able to actually come in and all of a sudden have, like, a completely stable country in 20 years, when it has been unstable for multiple centuries, was a fool's errand in the beginning.
Well, it wasn't just the United States. Let's
Yeah.
be
Well, oh no.
let's
Okay. NATO.
let's
NATO.
blame NATO and the
NATO.
allies for doing that too.
Yeah. I mean,
And,
but like,
Mhm.
yeah,
but remember, the United States was at the lead of this.
yes, always is.
Hmm.
Always is.
World
Um,
police.
yeah. So I like I said, I spent a lot of time um, reading what these 15 Christians had to say about so things like they were asked, how are you praying for Afghanistan's future? How should American Christians reflect on the war? What type of long-term impact do you think this will have on the mission field in Afghanistan and and surrounding region? That one right
Yeah.
there got me. I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah,
yes,
me
this
too.
is from Christianity Today. Okay.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of these interviewees were talking about um, the lamenting for the loss of civil liberties, but also they were lamenting for the loss of Christian converts or the ability
Yeah.
to do so.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Right.
was peppered within this is um, we can't get all of these Sunnis to be turned to Christians anymore. So
Right, right.
Why are they sad? If they have converts, if they have Christian converts, and they get beheaded, won't they go to heaven? And then if there's a new generation of people who are forced to be Muslim, and eventually Christianity comes in there, won't you get a chance to go and convert new people? And if there is an underground movement of Christianity, won't those people get martyred too? Isn't that a great thing? God doesn't ever promise that you're going to live a long, healthy life that doesn't involve suffering, right? So
right.
why are they so sad about death? You go to the Father,
Mm.
but
Mm,
is it they know that you don't go to the Father? I don't know about that, but it's like you can't have it both ways. Either getting martyred is a great thing and a little bit of
Yep.
pain, and then you go off to an eternal reward, or
Yep.
something else.
Mm.
hmm
But
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely. I saw also the thoughts of there is a. Don't worry, it'll all of the books will be balanced at the end because we have the supreme arbiter. That what did Mark Morris say here? Each leader, each party will be accountable for by God for the decisions they have made and the damage or the good done to humanity by these policy decisions. Now we must decide how are going to respond.
Right.
what does
Yeah.
that mean?
It means
Yeah.
life's not fair, but in the end, it'll be fair because I can't stand it not being fair. So there must be
Yep. It's
a
always about
balancing.
the next
Right. And
life.
what and then when you say, well, what does that balance look like? They can't tell you.
hmm
Just know that it is. Just know. Have faith.
It's
How
in
do
the
you know
Bible.
that it is?
It's in the Bible. Look it up.
Yeah,
It's in the
let's look it
Bible.
up.
Don't care about the Bible.
Mm.
Cynthia, any final words on what Christians think of the Taliban?
Well, I don't know if you got a chance to actually look at the Washington Post article that you had in there too,
I
Malty.
didn't.
Yeah, and it was that particular one was about a person named I think his name was Isani.
Yeah, now I
Uh,
remember.
yeah, and he was actually petitioning the Pope to help some of the families, especially like who are claiming to be, Christian, practicing Catholics and other and things of that nature to help them get out. And I thought that this was kind of interesting. One of the things that he said towards the end, he said that I don't know why the West left Afghanistan this way. Isani said, after 20 years of sacrifices of democracy, but Isani doesn't want to get into the politics. I just want to save this Christian family and possibly others. He said, adding that for some, it might just be a matter of days before they are discovered or worse. And he was concerned about, people who happen to be more so out or found out that they were, Christian or practicing Catholics that, that they could possibly suffer. But to your point, Johnny, this would, if they did suffer for their faith, would their reward be in heaven? Would they not become saints? Would their martyrdom not be in
That's
vain?
right. That's right.
Would it actually bring more people to the faith because they saw that these people were standing up for their convictions, etc., etc., etc.? And
Mhm.
and I believe that this whole answer from any of these ones who were talking about praying for them or saying that God is going to sort everything out. And I don't want to get into the politics, but God's going to figure it out for everybody and it's going to be okay in the end. Not to say it to Mr. What was the first person's name? Mr. Manley.
Mm,
I'm sorry, sir, but that's escapism.
Mhm.
The answer to radical Islam is not Islam's traditional enemy, Christianity. That's stupid crusade thinking. The answer to radical Islam is the end of religion, the end of radical make-believe beliefs and subordinating reason and humanity to a bunch of scribbles on parchment. And so praying all this stuff doesn't do, first of all, well, let me put it that way. Okay, there's that. Blind hope prayer is not going to magic away these bloodthirsty murderers who are coming for people.
Yeah.
Action is. They don't need prayers. They need food. They need water. They need money. They need to get the hell out of Afghanistan. And I wonder if this crowd here that's trying to pray away the guys with axes would have been willing to, over the past 20 years, vote for or support a candidate who found a fast track for people who wanted to get the hell out of Afghanistan. I suspect that they wouldn't have. I suspect that they wouldn't want Afghans to come to this country, except in small trickling in amounts. And they were hoping, not blind faith, not pretend, that they could just set things up for them and they would take care of themselves. But truth be told, I think I heard something. Was it Tucker Carlson? Maybe it wasn't Tucker Carlson talking about, who was it? How all of this Afghan business was just an excuse to get Afghan refugees to come to this country and flood our shores with friend of the show, Tucker Carlson, with more Afghans who would vote Democrat. I heard something about that.
Oh, wow.
Anyone? Maybe it wasn't the Tuck. Maybe it was someone else. But
It
some
sounded
other.
like a lawmaker I was listening to earlier today. I forgot. It's one of Agent Oren's cronies that went to Mar-a-Lago and said that the insurrection was not the insurrection.
Okay.
Another friend of the show.
Final words, Neil? Speechless.
Watching, because I mean, I watching it happen and seeing the news clips and seeing people falling from airplanes and knowing and seeing people laughing at this sort of stuff is the part I think that angers
People
me
were
the most.
laughing about that? Who is laughing?
Oh,
about
yeah.
Who?
It's just okay. We're watching it on the news in here, my roommate and I.
Yeah.
And across the hall, we can hear them with the TV blaring, watching the exact same show that we're watching. And then I hear the laughter coming from their end as we're watching on the TV while the people are falling off the plane to their deaths.
Oh my gosh.
So
Right.
people from the people in your condo or your living around you. Gotcha.
Yeah, we don't have the best sound dampening here, so. And they listen to their
or
TV
neighbors
on 90.
Or neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have the best neighbors either. They're the only ones I know of that are like that. But overhearing some other people talking outside, they kind of got a chuckle out of it too. So it's like, wow, fuck, people really.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and moving on. So let's take a short break from our show discussions. So if you all that are watching haven't seen all the other shows this week, give us a little bit of a taste of the things that you have missed.
Now that I'm like this sort of pseudo quasi celebrity with the Atheist Experience Network, I have thought about whether or not I should go back and maybe get rid of that old Twitter account.
I really like the idea of a Victorian girl just like coming back from the dead just to say that you're cute. I think that's great.
We have one Xenia Ovchinnikova. She is suing McDonald's for 1,000 rubles, which is about $13.
The fact that you think you can sidestep the rigorous standards we apply in science because it suits your presumption in the first place is not my problem.
It's not working. In fact, you're only hardening my heart, much like God hardened the Pharaoh's heart. And I don't want a calcified heart. I'm going to need it later.
You're gonna need that heart later.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. No
Maybe.
one wants a calcified heart. I would recommend not calcifying anyone's
Yeah,
heart.
no, go
That's
to
why
the
I'm
doctor
vegan.
or something.
But that's a whole
Yeah.
other thing.
No Jesus in my cardiovascular system either, please. I need it. All the ventricles and all that jazz.
Yeah. So a while back in April, we had an episode about the Department of Education getting sued, and we've got a little bit of a continuation of that story. Johnny, do you want to take that away?
Yeah. So we had an article by Hemant Mehta, friendly atheist. Department of Education plans to rescind Trump-era rules funding bigotry at campus. And we did cover this previously. Were we going to show the clip, or are we just going to talk about where we are now?
Yeah, why don't we show the clip?
Let's show the clip. LGBTQ students at Christian colleges file class action lawsuits to stop religious exemptions. Religious colleges, according to the law, can discriminate against LGBTQ folks and still receive federal funds because of a religious exemption. These students say that that's resulted in expulsion from those colleges, fines, humiliation, and conversion therapy. So, scumbag schools. The lawsuit is brought by 33 LGBTQ students who attended universities and colleges. They filed a class action lawsuit against the Department of Education, saying that giving religious exemptions to colleges so that they can discriminate against LGBTQ students resulted in, like I said, harassment, conversion therapy, expulsion, and humiliation. Couldn't have said it better myself if I tried. Well, we've got an update to that. Yesterday, and this article was August 20th, so 5 days ago, as of the date of this recording, the Department of Education announced they plan to rescind the rules that good old Betsy DeVos put in place. They're conducting a review of those regulations while keeping in mind the importance of several key elements, including First Amendment protections, non-discrimination requirements, and the promotion of inclusive learning environments for all students. Following the completion of our review, we anticipate publishing a notice of proposed rulemaking in the Federal Register to propose rescinding parts of the free inquiry rule. American Atheists and the Americans United for Separation of Church and State consider this a win, really a step in the right direction, you might say, now or later. And so the vice president and legal director of Americans United, Richard B. Katsky, said, quote, "We applaud the Department of Education for its willingness to reconsider this harmful regulation and for sending the message to colleges, universities, and their students that this wrong may soon be righted. Yada, yada, yada. Discrimination has no place in our public colleges and universities, even if religion is used to justify it." And Allison Gill, vice president for legal and policy at American Atheists, said no college should ever face the threat of losing federal dollars for refusing to fund discrimination. I have a few things to say on top of all that. Was it Church versus Newsom? We covered this some months ago, right? Where a church wanted to do stupid shit during COVID and decided to gather because Genghis or Yahweh or whatever said that it was one in California and one in New York. Okay. And even though COVID's real and people are getting sick and dying, that there were rules that restricted gathering in of a certain number of people under certain categories in certain areas at certain times. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
That they should be exempt because it discriminated against them and they had religious reasons. There was a nuance there. They made the argument and it was successful. And it was an anti-science, anti-reality decision that kicked in California and it kicked in New York. I remember the New York one was a synagogue, I believe.
Right.
And this is this new argument that federal laws apply to everybody equally across the country, but not to religious people who get to say there's a special set of rules that apply to them.
Yeah, that is so problematic.
Mhm.
I do see a lot of special pleading coming from the religious right, it seems like.
With an appeal to emotion.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
and if I may continue, I did a bit, if I may, and you stop me if you need me to. You will find, dear friends out there in YouTube land, that I have included links to the Federal Register for the executive order by the what should we call him this time? The panderer in chief, who is trying to win over certain people. That executive order is in there, and then also DeVos's proposed reg, and I provided that link as well, so you can go ahead and read it for yourself. And I went ahead and read it, and it's so interesting, it's so fun, because there truly is two separate universes of facts and focus going on here. Because Section 2 of the executive order, 2A policy. It is the policy of the federal government to A, encourage institutions to foster environments that promote open, intellectually engaging, and diverse debate, including through compliance with the First Amendment for public institutions and compliance with stated institutional policies regarding freedom of speech for private institutions. Who could disagree with that?
Oh, but it gets better, doesn't it, Johnny?
Right. Because that language there, it sounds so nice. And when you go on the National Review or the Stormfront or the Daily Stormer or whatever shit websites that are covering this as a positive thing, because I had trouble actually finding people that thought that this new rule, that this proposed rule was legitimate.
Mm.
They always frame it in terms of this. It's like, ignore these bad things. Look at the good things that it will do out of context, outside of the real world that we live in. Ignore those LGBTQ people or people of religions that could potentially be discriminated against. If another religion allows them to discriminate, they would have to pay, people would have to pay funds, tuition for those clubs to discriminate against you, right? And the executive order, okay, much the same, a lot of the same stuff. They cite to all kinds of wonderful stuff. Cation versus Board of Regents of the University of the State of New York. Our nation is deeply committed to safeguarding academic freedom, which is of transcendent value to all of us and not merely to the teachers concerned. And it goes on. The freedom is therefore a special concern of the First Amendment, which does not tolerate laws that cast a pall of orthodoxy over the classroom. Cool. So I went to oyez.org and I read, this is what the case was about. Harry Keshian, I butchered that, and other faculty of the University of Buffalo became state employees in 1962 when the University of Buffalo was merged into the University of New York system. As state employees, Keshian and the other faculty members were subject to statutes and administrative regulations meant to prevent the appointment and continued employment of subversive persons because the applicants refused to sign a statement declaring that they were not communists and had never been communist. This is a weird employment and free speech case. Later on, the executive order, the DeVos ruling says, in a landmark decision, Tinker versus Des Moines Independent Community School District, the Supreme Court acknowledged more than half a century ago that, quote, it can hardly be argued that either students or teachers shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate. Oh, I agree. That sounds so wonderful. I wonder what that case was about. Well, 1965, a group of students in Des Moines held a meeting in the home of a 16-year-old Eckhart to plan a showing of their support for a truce in the Vietnam War. They decided to wear black armbands throughout the holiday season and to fast on December 16th. The principals, through the end of the year, the principals of the Des Moines school learned of the plan and met on December 14th to create a policy that stated that any student wearing an armband would be asked to remove it, with refusal to do so resulting in suspension. On December 16th, Mary Beth Tinker and Christopher Eckhart wore their armbands and were sent home. The following day, the same result. So end the protest. So I guess what am I saying here? This is an example of how different people in different sides of an argument will cherry pick and completely misrepresent what something stands for, so that they can cite to these high-minded principles of the Supreme Court or from famous people in history and pretend as though this thing that they're doing now is on the right side of history and inclusion and free speech and the high-minded attitudes of the First Amendment, while in fact what they're doing is just trying to crush free speech and crush free discourse. It's BS. And all you have to do is click on the links and you can see that this is not what they're saying it is. It's a dandy quote, but it's not what they're talking about.
I mean, just even like looking at any of those things, like I saw that the executive order in DeVos's regulation was, to me, a clear implication against the First Amendment and the Civil Rights Acts of 1964.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was looking at. And even to your point concerning cherry picking, like, please remember, let's remember who Miss DeVos is, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
also, and she's also part of this whole ilk of, white evangelical Christian nationalistic type of ideology. I'm going to cherry pick the things that I will espouse to in the Bible and
Yeah.
ignore all the little itty bitty funky parts. So I can also set that same precedent when it comes to how we're doling out regulations on how we are treating certain students in institutions and who we will fund and who we will not fund, because we do this all the time.
Did anyone know about the Solomon Amendment? Does anyone remember that?
I read Song of Solomon, but no.
No, it's not. It's not Song of Solomon.
Okay.
There
No,
was a
no.
rule that you had to have, if you wanted to receive a certain amount of federal funding for your school, you had to allow the U.S. military to do recruiting.
Oh.
And there were some schools that refused to have the military on campus for recruiting because at the time there was don't ask, don't tell. Right? And so some of those schools had eschewed federal funding because the government put strings on things. I'm sorry. If you want federal money, Bob Jones University and Falwell Colt College or whatever the hell it's called, Liberty University. Sorry, I really couldn't think of the name. You've got to follow these frickin' rules. You can't follow the rules? Cool. Go be a hate monger on your own frickin' dime. I don't want to pay you 1 red cent. And neither should the students have to do that.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
What's so hard about that?
Yeah,
Not
Bob
hard at all in
Jones
my
should have
mind.
known better. I mean, especially because they lost their tax exempt status at some point in time because they
Yeah.
wouldn't allow African American students to attend university there.
That's right.
But
But
yeah,
I would want to ask any black person, why would you want to go to Bob Jones University in the first place? But that's neither here nor there.
Well, sometimes it's the only school available to you. You know, we
Sure.
there's a friend, a friend of mine who a few had no access to college except to a college like that, right? They had to talk to their parents, and a grandparent had to intervene, and that was the compromise, was to go to a super Bible college. And if it weren't for that, who knows what that person's life would have been like.
yeah. Neil, you've been kind of quiet on this. I know it's out of your wheelhouse and out of your country, but any thoughts?
I had jotted down a couple of things. I think let me see if I've got some of this straight. Like, they're giving these special groups, these religious groups, the right to discriminate, but nobody can discriminate against them. Is that kind of the gist of this whole thing?
It's what it ends up being.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about
What the fuck is all I can say.
Yeah.
How is that even remotely fair? How? And please tell me that Betsy DeVos is no longer in that fucking position.
She's gone. Yeah.
Nah, she
she
go
is.
bye-bye.
Yeah.
We
She
have
go
reason to
bye-bye.
celebrate.
She's
Lot
off
of
being
beers.
rich someplace else.
Yeah,
We
pretty
actually
much.
have someone that understands education as the Secretary of Education now, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
that whole appointment was bizarre, but
yeah,
Neil,
agreed.
continue.
Yeah, really, the one thing I want to do say is I noticed because I read some stuff about this that the Secular Student Alliance was in there raising a stink about all this, and kudos to them for that.
Hey, I tell you what, you wanna support folks out there. You want to give your money
yeah.
and time to an organization that is
Already
fighting these
do.
fights. Steer your attention and perhaps your dollars to the Secular Student Alliance.
Worthwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah, worthwhile.
Very
Mhm.
worthwhile.
To me, all of this is a desperate attempt to buttress a dying, uninspired ideology of the past. I mean, it's not dead. It's not dead. We know it's not dead, but it's rotting, and the wounds are on the surface. And the university's higher education has long been the enemy of those dinosaurs of human thought.
Yeah.
Always been attacking the universities because education kills superstition,
Yes.
and that's why they're trying to hamstring education and the kids that are going there. And they're kids. They are truly kids. There is some adult learning, right? But they're 18 years old. Come on. They're still
18 years
formed.
old is not a no. I knew nothing. I thought I knew stuff when I was 18, but I knew absolutely nothing.
You were 18 years old and had ways just like a baby child.
In my mind.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cynthia, how are those pipes feeling?
Me.
Me.
So,
Okay, you're not singing like a Muppet.
for our final segment, Neil's going to lead us in on this, but with a little bit of help from Cynthia.
Yes. I always
and,
need help. Hold my hand,
because
Cynthia.
this is a step in the right direction.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing Moments in Canadian History presents.
All right.
Well, and to preface that for Neil, excuse me. Okay, one moment, please.
Are you going to sing "Oh Canada"?
It's a lot of lead
Not
up
at
to
all.
this one.
I was.
You want good. You want
Oh, sorry.
no. I want not. What? Step in the right direction. Step in the right direction. Yeah. Step in the right direction. We'll step it in the right direction. Yeah.
All right. All right.
Wow,
Yeah. So here in my province, the courts have decided. I guess recently there was a polyamorous relationship where they had a child, and the second wife, I guess, or wanted to be the second mom as well. And up until recently, they really didn't have anything in the BC court systems about polyamorous relationships because no one's really ever come forward to talk about this sort of thing before. But it has happened. And of course, the judges did the right thing and decided to allow her. They didn't really mention any names. They used pseudonyms, but I'm not going to bother with that. But they allowed her to be the second mom. Now, not just the second guardian, which is something that's different, because I could be called a guardian if I wanted to and get legal guardianship, but actually a parent, which means they have all the rights reserved for parenthood, and that is considering that nothing like this has come up, and they were quick to say yes, let's make this a thing because these relationships do exist out there, and I think a lot more than people realize too. So
Right.
I think it's fantastic that they've done this, and they've given her the power of being a mom, so she could be super mom too, right?
Yeah.
And the other two in the relationship were ecstatic about it as well, from what I'm to hear, because I actually looked up a little bit of other local news on the piece. So yeah, and it was Justice Senator Wilkinson of the Supreme Court here ruled that this should be a thing now. So good for you, Sandra. I virtually shake your hand because we can't do that. By the way, they've reinstated the mask mandate here in BC as well. just
Very
another
good.
little heads up if you decide
Yeah.
to come and visit.
They're actually
Yeah.
following CDC guidelines. Watch
I got
out.
extras.
But it's not, they're not following CDC guidelines.
No.
They're following
Different.
Canadian
Yes.
CDC,
Whatever the hell it's called.
CC, yeah, whatever
Yeah.
it's called.
Close
Yeah.
enough.
So we're looking at two articles. The first one from the Canadian lawyer,
Mhm.
titled "BC Judge Rules That a Woman in a Polyamorous Family Relationship Be Named as Second Mother to Child." That was on the 4th of May by Zenek. Oh, I cannot even try to pronounce that last name. But the link will be in the down below, so please check it out. It's a good read. There's so many heartfelt good things that I heard from this judge, that in specific, I think it all led down to keeping the best, trying to do best for the child in mind. That
Yeah.
is all of what I've read in this
Yeah.
article was, what can we do for the best of the child?
That's the standard in all child matters in the courts in the United States.
Mhm.
Here, it's we were talking about this before the show. Malty, parens patriae.
Mhm.
Maybe that's a Canadian thing. I've never heard that before, but I don't know much about family law or child custody stuff like that. But it's the same thing. That what's in the best interest of the child. Of course, that's for determination, because there was a time when mixed race families was placing a child in a mixed race couple
Yeah, right.
care was not in the best interest of the child, or same sex parents not within the interest of the child. So,
But they said it was the best interest for the child to have all his parents named as parents.
right, they determined that, and
Yes.
so we're gonna continue to see. I mean, it's a case by case basis. There's probably plenty of thruples or others who would be a terrible idea for everyone to be on there. But they did a determination probably based on some very specific facts of that particular arrangement. I thought it was interesting how, where was it? There was some arrangement if they had used assisted reproductions, a surrogacy or a sperm donor to
right.
conceive, they might have been able to draw up agreement that all be declared parents under a different section of the Family Law Act.
That's right. That's
And
right.
that might have been a factor in there too. It's like, well,
I think there is a different
Right.
section that
Because
includes
of the way
artificial
that the child.
insemination.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm done.
I think I overtalked you. Please repeat.
I said there. I think there is a section in the family law playbook, whatever the hell they call it, about sperm donors and stuff like that. About
Your Honor, I'm going to cite
I
to the
think they
Family
give
Law
the
Playbook.
the playbook. What I was going, the important part of this is I think now don't quote me on this, but I think I saw that the sperm donors actually have. They can. Do you want to be recognized? Do you not want to be recognized? Are you just a donor, or do you want to be involved? And they give the donor some kind of rights to one or the other. I can't remember what it was.
And that's and there's a reason for that, probably. So it
Yes,
to
yeah.
encourage people to donate their sperm without being on the hook
attachment.
financially.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering if this particular case would open up a larger conversation concerning polyamorous families. Now, I know that we were kind of like chopping it
Yeah,
up a
the
little
polygamy.
bit previously before we started our recording. Um, Sometimes, like, if people are in polyamorous relationships, it's not something oftentimes talked about or shown, because polyamory in a lot of cases is still considered taboo, right? And depending on who is like participating in such a relationship, there could be like outside interlocutors who happen to say some have like some tropes that would be placed on the people who would be in there. Like if it's a dude that has multiple women, he's a player, he's a pimp, he's whatever. If it's a lady.
That's not a polyamorous.
No, I
What
know, but what I'm saying is but sometimes like people on the
Sometimes
outside
how
like
people
looking
view it.
in, this
right?
is what they say. This is
Or
what
you're
they think.
Solomon. Or you're Solomon.
Well,
When he was a holy man. What's
Mm,
wrong with having
yeah.
multiple wives?
right.
You
But
know
I mean,
what?
but the only person, but to be honest, like even if we like look at the Bible, in the
Talk about
Old
the double
Testament,
standard thing where the guy's
yeah,
a stud
well,
and the
I'm
girl,
You know, I really
there's
wish we
that.
could have time to diverge onto all kinds of tangents, but we only got 5 minutes left before we start to have to wrap this up.
Holy
So
smokes.
God,
Oh
I
wow,
would
that went
like
quick.
but
to, but before yeah, we got 10 minutes total. So,
still 10
but I
minutes
would
total.
like to look a little bit. So yeah, so good for the child, good for the family. They're taking
Overall,
this
yeah.
on a case by case basis. It looks like, because it's in the end, and the judge did say that this needs to be legislated. She used her powers to do what was best for that child in that case.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
in these kinds of court cases, the
I should have made that clear, yes.
yeah, yeah, and I think at the very end of that article, it does say, all three of the litigants, the parents, had lawyers.
Mhm.
That's not something that is financially viable for everyone to be able
True.
to work the court cases. These, I don't want to say work the court system, to be fully represented.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I mean that's something that,
Well, and that's
so
and
why
that's
we need
kind of
to legislate get some, I don't know,
and that's
better
and
laws.
that's kind of why I was like, bringing up the whole thing about having like a larger conversation about what polyamory and what
Yeah.
polyamorous relationships will look like. To your point, Malty, these people all got lawyered up, right? So they were
Yeah.
able to utilize their resources in order for them to get adequate representation in order to get what they were looking for out of the court. But
Hmm.
if other people who happen to not have those particular resources want to be recognized if they're having children, that they are the parent, even though that they're not in a atypical traditional relationship or what have you, would have a problem, a possible problem. And a lot of it can happen to be because of different tropes and ideologies when it comes to what polyamory looks like.
Yeah,
Yep.
I really would hope. Go on, please, Johnny. Go
No,
ahead.
maybe I'm the only person that's concerned, generally speaking, on this one,
Mm,
because that the best interest of the child standard is all I care about right here.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm. Yeah.
if 3 adults, 4 adults, or 50 adults want to get into a relationship and they're all consensual, I'm totally cool with it. They are adults. But when a child is brought into a situation like that, independent of the adults' rights, all I really care about for the kids' purposes is such a relationship uh, to the benefit of the child. My
sure.
research into
Ah.
all this said that there's just not a lot of research for lots of reasons. People are afraid to come forward because they're afraid of having their kids taken away from them.
Yeah.
There are arguments to say that those kids have kids that grow up in those environments have abandonment issues or have this idea that relationships aren't as permanent as they could be. Other places that I found research said that those kids are really good at making friends and establishing boundaries and stuff like that because they see it exemplified in their life there. What I noticed was that these reporting on what the skills or what the experience is from a child being in those polyamorous families it was split very firmly along, I would obviously, party lines. But the one consistent thing that I did see was that there wasn't enough research to satisfy me. There wasn't any like that I saw, and I might have missed it. Um,
Mhm.
Non-biased, non-party, not non like biased uh, uh, examinations of the issue.
Sure.
And so
Right.
I really don't give a shit if if this is a victory for polyamorous couples. I care about the kids, right? And I don't think that the kids. I'm suspending my belief one way or the other, because I see both sides of this argument, but I need to know what the science says, period. Until I say that, I'm just going to have my eyebrow up whenever I see someone talking about whether this was good or bad for a kid in that situation. That's the best I can do. I have to remain skeptical, and I have no position at this point. So
Well, if it helps, Johnny, there are multiple cases throughout history of like tribal type behavior where there's a group that raises the kids.
Sure.
Right. And it's always been, as far as we know, it's always been beneficial to the kids.
Okay. And that certainly,
so
it
takes
certainly
a
sheds
village.
Light.
Takes a village.
Takes a village. That's right. Yep.
All right. So, final notes from all of you. We've come to the end of this episode. Cynthia, will you want to start us off? Final thoughts?
My final thoughts. Prayer solves nothing. You know, let's talk more and actually come up with proper decisions when it comes to everything that we do, and continuously get vaccinated.
Okay. Neil, what do you have to say?
What do I have to say? Prayer doesn't do shit. The Taliban sucks. One for BC. And remember, like I say on the ends of my shows, it's called faith because it's not knowledge, kids.
And Johnny, please.
In heaven, the Taliban won't be able to ride volcanoes in polyamorous.
Because they have 72 virgins with them. So
he's already trying to get the
not enough seats.
He's working on the title already. Wow.
The Pope. Yeah, well, school in heaven is made out of lava. We'll have something by the end.
Heaven's made out of lava.
No one wants to get on the rush.
Like
How about
the
that?
lava
No
game, right?
one wants to get on the rush.
I'm in no rush to get on the rush.
Right.
If you like what you've heard, please join our fan social media outlets. You can find most of the nonprofits hosts on the Atheist community of Discord. And you can do that by going to tiny.cc/ACD Discord. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/nonprofitslive. If you would like to support the show, you can do so by becoming a patron at patreon.com/thenonprofits. So if you already are shopping at Amazon, they do have Amazon Smile. The Atheist community of Austin is a selectable beneficiary. So if you are using that service, please keep in mind that you can give a little bit to the ACA. It doesn't change the amount that you spend, and we will appreciate it. We do value your feedback. We want to hear what you like, what you don't like. So please leave comments down below and email at us, or you can email at us at nonprofits@atheist-community.org. So with that, I wanted to thank all of you listeners and my panel for joining me today here. And thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Watch The Atheist Experience live Sundays at 4:30 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTAXP and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callaxp.